Hello and welcome back, Black Market Babes. This is Leslie, the curator behind Black Market Beauty. And today's episode I'm very excited for. It was requested by a few followers on Instagram. By the way, social media handles Black Market B on Instagram, Black Market Beauty on TikTok, and our website is blackmarketb.com for you to check out any upcoming trainings, both in person and online. But back to today's topic. Here's the thing. We are headed into one of the busiest seasons of the year. You're supposed to be booked up. You're supposed to be busy. Whatever industry you're in, whether you are a lash artist, a nail tech, hairstylist, this tends to be one of the busiest seasons. With that also comes a new clientele, right? So here's the good and the bad about having a large clientele. Sometimes you're going to have to fire a client, and most trainings, if not, I've not heard of any trainings or school even, they don't prepare you for this. And you have to learn it as you go, have to learn it on the job. Unfortunately, most people don't know how to handle the confrontation to fire a client. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to create different scenarios for you, and I'm going to teach you how to manage these clients' expectations and how to properly fire a client so that you can continue to have a thriving business. So say that, you are getting new bookings because, like I said, the holidays are upon us and we're going to be busy. How do you know which client is not going to be a good fit for you and for your current clientele and for the way that you run your business? Well, you should have a few things in place already, like cancellation policies and just a guideline that's really going to teach your clients what the expectations are. Because here's the thing, I do blame the artist when you don't have a set of rules to be followed by clients, because how are they supposed to know? Every artist is different. Some artists are very laid back with the services they provide, and other artists not so much. They tend to be a bit stricter. Some artists have a very flexible schedule, while other artists have a very specific timeline that they can work, and the rest is just their me time, which is completely fine. This is the beauty of being an artist in the beauty industry, that you can completely come up with what's going to work for you. So with that being said, make sure that you have a good arrangement for yourself and your clients, a good booking website that's going to reduce headaches on how to book, client and artist miscommunication, whether the appointment was booked or not. So really there's a lot of ground rules that have to be covered before you even think about, firing a client, or you can fire a client from the get-go. But we're going to cover a few scenarios that are going to be beneficial for you, not just for the busy season coming up, but just like a new skill to have, that again, you may have to use. Hopefully not. But if you do, you know what to do and what to say and how to handle the situation. Me personally, I've been licensed in the state of Texas since 2013, and I've had some bad experiences. Nothing major, but I have had to fire, I believe, at least 2 people that I know were it was really bad. Which ironically, these people were also in the beauty industry, which makes no sense that they would behave the way that they did. But then again, you just never know when you are a freelancer, an entrepreneur, an artist, what you're going to run into. So here's the scenario. Let's say that you have a new client, and I'm gonna give you the scenario as if you already have a cancellation policy and a booking system, because the thing is, you should. If you don't, bring it back, cover those first, and then move forward, because you're not going to be able to get good client communication if you and potentially have to fire a client if you didn't even have those rules covered. Okay, so say that you have a client come in and they booked you through your website. They have a card on hold. What if they are late every single time? And it's in your policy that if you're, again, everybody has their own rules. If you are 10 minutes late, you can either cancel their appointment, which I think is a bit harsh. But if that's your choice of what to do with your policies, completely understandable. Or you can tell them like, hey, you can, if you're 10 minutes late, like that's completely coming out of your appointment time. That means that, you know, if we're done at 5 p.m., we're done at 5 p.m. We're not going to roll over to 5:10 p.m. because I have another client. So here's how to handle that. A client comes in, they just booked you. They're 10 minutes late on their first appointment. You want to address things on the spot. You don't want to wait for something else to happen. Because again, you cannot be upset at the client if you don't vocalize these issues. How are they going to know? They don't know. And if they, sometimes even when they know, you have to make sure that they know, like they know, you know what I mean? So it's in your booking system, it's in your policies, and your clients still showed up late. Most times for the easygoing clients, they're going to come in apologizing like extremely, okay? If they really don't care about being 10 minutes late and they don't make mention of it whatsoever, to me that's just off the bat telling me they don't respect my time as a artist. They don't respect my work. They don't respect my policies and my structure. So that would be a red flag for me. Red flag number 1. So if they don't address it, if they don't shoot you a text, and here's the thing, it's okay, like things happen all the time. My policies with my clients is that if you're running a few minutes late, it's no big deal. I just want you to let me know. So shoot me a text, because there's something that can always be done within your studio. You can go through inventory, you can make a post on Instagram, you can review your social media, you can clean up a little bit, you know, you can eat. Very important. So there's always things that can be done within that time that can be utilized if you know what I mean? So if you're just waiting, like, she should have been here like 7 minutes ago. If I get a text from my client, like, hey girl, I'm, whatever the reason is, I'm running late, I'm stuck in traffic, I forgot, I just woke up, whatever. It does not matter to me. I'm a very relaxed artist in that sense that I'm like, you know what, things happen, just give me a heads up. So say that your client showed up, no text, she's a first, like a newish client, address it. So as they're coming in or as you're prepping them, just let them know like, hey, you know what, no worries, I noticed that you were running a few minutes behind. If that were to happen in the future, just shoot me a text, give me a heads up, you know, because I could utilize that time. Also, just so you know, if you show up late, unfortunately, I do have a booked up schedule. Even if you don't, even if you don't have a client coming right after her, you need to still lay these rules down because it's going to protect you, okay? So just listen to me. You just have, all you have to tell her is the time that you were late, you know, I have somebody after you, so I have to still cut off your time, which results in less lashing time, which, you know, for volume clients or complex texturized sets can mean that the look is just not going to be there. Make them understand that it's going to come out of your lashing time, which is going to unfortunately impact the results. You can leave it at that. She can be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yes, it won't happen again. And if it does, if, you know, for whatever reason, I'll make sure to shoot you a text. Perfect. Lovely. Done. Of course, if it happens again, then you know that you've already said something to that client. Another thing that you could potentially do is penalize clients, which I don't like it. Again, you can either ask them to shoot you a text, you can make them reschedule their appointment and charge them a no-show fee, or you can charge $20 extra because if you do roll over that time, you know what I mean? So it's up to you as an artist and an entrepreneur and a business owner to decide which route you're going to go with that. Just know that whatever you choose, you have to make sure that your clientele understands and respects it. So, okay, same client, same scenario. She shows up late. This time she's like 15 minutes late. Still no text. And still no explanation, no apology, no nothing. And here's the thing, nobody owes you anything and you don't know anybody anything, but it's just being a decent human being and a decent person and treating anybody in the service industry with respect. If I have policies on my booking system, I have made mention and I've made you aware of this very slight issue. We talked about it and you still continue to do it, it's not going to work for me. It's a no from me. So how do we get rid of this client? How do we fire this client? How do we tell this client that it's just not going to work out? Here's personally what I would do and what I would recommend you to do. You never want to turn money away, essentially. You don't want to turn money away unless is actively affecting your performance and your business. So say that same client shows up and she's again late, no apology, no reasoning, whatever. You have two options. You can either do it in person. You can let the client know, you know what, this isn't going to work out, like at the end of their service. Or you can just send them home and then after send them a text. Whether you're going to be confrontational in person or through a text, email, whatever you want to do is completely up to you. I think every client is a bit different, so you have to read what's going to work best for them. So I would say that she shows up, you can either cancel her on the spot and run her card, do the service and tell her goodbye. And if you choose to go with an email or text, all you have to say is, hey, whatever the client name is, I noticed that being on time is a bit of an issue during our appointments. Unfortunately, because of the tightness of my schedule, that really isn't going to work out for me. I will go ahead and give you some recommendations of other people that are wonderful artists that are also in the area, and hopefully you have you click better with them. Period. Just end it right there. And then you can either send references or not, completely up to you. Of course, if you have a bad experience with a client and you have a friend or a fellow lash artist or beauty artist that also provides services, you don't want to send them a bad client. But at the same time, you may know somebody that is a bit more flexible with their schedule and that works better for them. You know what I mean? So it doesn't always have to be ugly. I think a lot of times we, can y'all hear Leo chewing on his toy, by the way? Thank you for the background noise, Leo. It doesn't always have to be ugly firing a client, but it can get ugly. So I just gave you a scenario of when a client is not really respecting your policies. Maybe it's not that big of a deal and you just, send them away, best regards, and refer them to somebody else. But what do we do when a client is being a bit hasty or rude, I'm going to give you two answers to this question. I'm going to give you the professional answer that you should try to follow for your business. And I'm going to give you the answer that I would, with my heart and my soul, want to do. Because here's the thing. We're people, you know what I mean? And for you or anybody to come into your safe space, your place of work, your the spot where you feel most creative and you have taken a lot of time and effort to build for yourself, and disrespects it, oh, we're gonna have a problem. Okay, so I'll tell you my professional answer at the end. I'm gonna tell you what happened with these two people that I had to fire, and how it was a bit chaotic. So here we go. Client number one, I never actually met this person like in person. She never actually came in, but she was problematic. So I'm talking about years and years ago. I was still, well, actually, I wasn't building my clientele anymore. I wasn't even living in Dallas. At the time, I was living somewhere else. I'm not going to disclose that information. But I was not living in the current city that I'm in. I was somewhere else. I was fully booked, loving life. I was going to school part-time I was going to be a nurse, so I thought. And I had a full book. When I say full book, like I was extremely booked, and and I know that most people are like, you should never close your books, up your prices. Baby, I was fully booked at the highest price in the city, all right? So I was done. Also, I just didn't want to do that much more to my body anymore. Anyway, the point is, I was not taking clients anymore, and I had a client that was very sweet. She was a hairstylist, and she, this is totally gonna give it away. I don't really care. She was working. She had a partner, like a business partner, and my client, she came to me for like I think a couple of years, and she asked me like, I know that you're not taking clients anymore, but my business partner, she really wants to get some lashes done by you. When I tell you that I was the talk of the city, like if you wanted a good bomb lashes, you came to me, you came to Leslie. Put some respect on my name. So of course, she was like, oh, I know her, like she does my lashes, let me see if she can squeeze you in. Girl. So I was like, you know what? Yes, go ahead. I'm really not taking new clients, but she's an amazing client. And here's the thing. Hear me out. Most of the times I tell you when building a clientele, and if you go back to the episode where I talk about how to build your clientele, my recommendation is for you to go after clients that you already have and build referrals from there, because most likely, and here's the exception to the rule, most likely if you have a client that you absolutely click with and she respects you and your work, she's going to be friends with like-minded people that are going to also do that for you. Not in this case. This girl really tried it. So what happened is I actually squeezed this person in my very tight schedule, right? I shouldn't have, but I did it as a favor for my client that, she was lovely. So the day comes of this new client's appointment. And by the way, again, I had a booking system, policies in hand. She made the appointment, yada, yada, yada. The only thing that was hurting me back then is that my booking system actually did not hold cards in place. But then again, I wasn't building a clientele anymore. My clientele was built. I had a very good relationship with a lot of my clients, so it wasn't a big deal for me until this happened. So I show up to work early in the morning. I'm waiting. I'm like, this client is actually running a few minutes behind. Interesting, given that, this is a new client, a referral, and basically pretty much a squeezing into a time slot that I didn't have. So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Again, I'm not gonna, I'll give everybody the benefit of the doubt. So I go to the client information, I pull up her phone number, I send her a message, and I'm like, hey, this is so-and-so from yada, 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 Black Market Beauty, about your appointment, da-da-da-da. Is everything okay? Do we need to change the appointment time or reschedule? Like, what's going on? Talk to me. I get a text back, very dry, by the way. I need to cancel. I left a message with the front desk. Okay, so I'm like, okay, so I'm go to the front desk and I ask the girls, I'm like, hey, is there any messages for me? And they're like, no, we haven't received. And I want to say almost like that even at the time, like there wasn't like you could call somebody and they answer and they leave a message, like they would write it for you. But I want to say at the time there wasn't, like a voicemail set up. So then I go back to, I'm like, oh, actually, I don't have any messages. Do you remember the person that you spoke to? And now the story changed and it was like, oh, I didn't speak to anybody. I just left a voicemail. that's interesting because we don't have voicemail set up. So what are you talking about? Still calmly like, oh, okay. Well, I don't see any messages. And I'm trying to be as nice as possible with this person because, again, her friend, business partner is like a very good friend of mine and a client, of course. So I'm like, oh, okay. The thing about me is I'm going to respect my own policies and I put them in place for a reason. Now, mind you, that at the time, and even if you're not busy, like, you should still respect your work, because the thing is, when you are an artist, entrepreneur, building your business, you are busy. You're going to be busy regardless. Okay. So for me to have gotten up 2-3 hours earlier than I was supposed to, all of that, my time is money, and so is yours. So I was like, you know what? We're at the point where she's basically no showing me. If I didn't send her a message, she hadn't messaged me. She tried to lie and say that she talked to somebody and then that she left a voicemail. At that point, I'm not gonna lie, I was slightly annoyed. So I was like, you know what? We can totally reschedule for another time, because then at this point she was like, oh, actually my son is sick, I have to go to the hospital. And so then the excuses started to roll in, and I say excuses because there are valid reasons for why a client's not showing up. 100%. I will waive my own cancellation policy with a client that I know I have a trusted relationship with and be like, you know what, don't even text me right now, like, to take care of what you need to take care of. Don't worry about the cancellation policy. I'll just see you when I see you. I hope everything is okay. You know what? But this person was trying to play me. Mistake. So I said, you know what, at this point we can reschedule you for another time. Unfortunately, I do have a cancellation policy that is in the booking site that you use when you book this appointment. And it says right there, if you show me, you owe me 100% of the service. And here's the thing. I know that everybody has a different policy. And everybody is going to be different with this of what to charge somebody that no shows you. I believe that I'm owed 100%. That's it, because I was here ready for the service. I have the products, I have the prep, I have everything. You didn't show up, and I would do the same for an appointment that I made knowing that I'm not going to show up. No. If I happen to not be able to show up for whatever reason, excuse, or valid reason, then I communicate. Just communicate. That's really what annoyed me here. It was the fact that there was no communication, that she tried to lie about it, she made up excuses, and that she was also in the beauty industry, knowing that how it works. Basically, that if you have a client no show you, you don't get paid. And you know this as a salon owner. Girl, let me give me a second. This was like 5-6 years ago, and I'm still like, okay. At this point, I told her, I'm sending her an invoice for the services. And at the time, I was charging, I believe it was like, for my full sets, it was like over $400. $400. You booked me. You knew this about me, and you booked me. So she started cussing and saying that I'm a effing idiot and this and that. And I still have the text message, and I'm going to post it. I'm going to post it somewhere on my social media platform so you guys can read it, because it's actually disgusting. It came down to, she was like, well, you know what? That's ridiculous. I make my clients pay, I don't know if she said $20 or 20% of the missed appointment. She was like, that's ridiculous. If anything, I want to say it's like $20 or $25, like something like completely disrespectful at that point. She was like, I make my clients pay this much if they no show me. So I can send you that exact amount of money. Otherwise, you can eat shit. Girl. So here's when it comes the professional answer and the you got me fucked up answer. Okay. At this point, I'm fully booked. I'm established. I don't, and even if I didn't, let's just be decent people, okay? The only reason why we're in this scenario, in this situation, is because you requested my time, requested me to squeeze you in. I'm an artist to my very tight, busy schedule. You requested an appointment, you made an appointment, and then you no showed and was full of excuses. Again, it was just, again, there's many reasons for why I would not charge a cancellation, whatever, based on the scenario, right? So even though you should have rules in place, there's times that you can break it, and that's okay. But in this scenario, I was just like, you're trying to play me, and we're not gonna do this. At this point, I knew that I wasn't gonna see that money. That's okay. At that point, I was like, you know what? It's fine. I got many other things to do. But I did text her back, and I was like, keep your 20 something whatever dollars. I was like, you probably need them more than me at this point, and I can't believe how disrespectful you're being. Honestly, don't even worry about it. Goodbye. And I blocked that person, and this was years ago. And then my client that referred her to me showed up being so apologetic. She was like, I can't believe she did that to you, I'm so sorry. And they ended up like parting ways as business partners, because apparently she's just like a shit person. Anyway, like, that's the thing. It didn't have anything to do with me. It had everything to do with who she is as a person. And I don't want somebody like that as my client, and neither should you. The moral of the story here is that you should not let a client, whoever they are and whoever you are, whether you're a beginner or established, tell you how it's going to be. Why? Because when you're coming into your studio, or when you're coming into your place of work, that should be a happy place. That should be a safe space for you to be creative and for you to flow and have a good relationship with your clientele. If you come into work and you're stressed and you're worried about like, oh my God, this client's coming in and I already know she's gonna be late and her retention's not that good, she doesn't wash her lashes, she doesn't that's not okay. That's not okay. It's going to completely reflect on your work. Trust. So nip things in the bud since the beginning. That was one of the scenarios that has happened to me, right? Again, it's a person in the beauty industry that absolutely no-showed me, full of excuses, cussed me out, and I gave her a little bit of professional / not so professional answer and completely blocked it. I have seen, because I'm part of a lot of groups on Facebook, obviously, to keep updated with everything that's going on in the lash industry, and I see many scenarios of people that are like, what do I respond to this client? And like, they're actively like being aggressive to the point where like, I'm almost like, you know what, just call the police or meet her in the parking lot. But for real, don't deal with things that are not going to be beneficial for your business. Like, you just don't have to. Bottom line is, you don't have to. Okay, so that's how you get rid of those people. How to fire a client, how to let go of somebody that's not going to be beneficial for your work, for your structure, and ultimately for your growth. So you can be nice about it. You can refer them to somebody else. Sometimes it's not even you or them. You know, sometimes there's no click. Sometimes it's just not working out. So give a client a easy route. Maybe they're also feeling some type of way, and they're like, I don't think this was the best. You know, but nobody knows how to vocalize these things. So you have today learned a new skill on how to add this to your vocabulary, to be like, you know what? Let's talk about this. Maybe they're requesting a style that is not very you, that is not very, you know, what you're used to. And that's okay. That's when you refer them to somebody else. And it doesn't have to be nasty. It doesn't have to be hasty. But it can be if need be. So that was like my scenario number one. My scenario number two of the other client that I had to fire, it's a bit quicker. Again, another person that was in the beauty industry, which baffles me. I'm just like, you should know better. She was a client. We became friends. You know, there's a very thin line of like crossing that friend client boundary. But this person just started getting like very disrespectful towards me and towards my work. And I just told her, you know what? I don't think the way you're speaking to me is acceptable. So please refer yourself from booking me anymore. And that I was a bit shorter. And oh, thank you. Leo just brought me his toy. I wasn't, I just wasn't wanting to deal with it because again, and at this point I wasn't fully booked, but I was like, I don't want the stress in my life that you bring into my studio. And I was very clear about it. So it doesn't have to be scary firing a client. There's certain key points that you should recognize before firing a client. And those are, what we covered in today's episode is if they are not respectful of your time, if they're not respectful of your policies, if they're not respectful of your work, then that is a very telling red flag of a client that maybe should not be your client. See, so it's not so complicated, it's not so scary, it's just something that you are not taught, that you don't know how to go about, and that you unfortunately will be faced with at any point in your career. So take that advice. If you have had to fire a client, I would like for you to share that with me, whether you want to post it or make a video about it. Highly encourage everyone to listen to the episodes, or whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on Spotify or you're watching the short version clips on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Highly encourage you that if you ever relate or if you ever want to further comment on any of my content, I very much highly encourage it. Tag me because I want to see it. I want to interact. I'm here to engage with the community. Here's the thing. For the past few years of being a lash artist, I have reached out so much, and it's so much fun. So I very much encourage you guys to be part of the Black Market Beauty community and tag me, send me, duet me, whatever it is, whatever platform you're on. I want to hear from you. I want to see how you're doing. And if you're my student, please do not hesitate. Everybody that's in the private, we have a private group on Facebook that's available for all of my students, whether you are online or in person. You have access to that. So you have like a direct line, to me. So reach out at any time. Do tell me though, whether it's in the comments on YouTube or on Spotify, I will ask a question that you can answer on there, or just go to any of my videos on Instagram or TikTok and leave a comment under one of these videos of, have you ever had to fire a client? How did it go? How did you do it? I want to hear everything about it. That is it for today's episode. Hopefully you will take something from this and apply it. Hopefully you don't have to, but if you do, just know that there's a few options and a few ways and routes that you can go about this. But hopefully you don't have to. Again, thank you so much for joining. I will see you guys on the next episode. Goodbye.